Hello everybody. Today we're cutting different types of flowers to put together into a pot for Mother's Day. So we're using construction papers. There's daisies, this is an aster, this is a Shasta daisy, that was a rudbeckia that was yellow and brown. This is a morning glory. Look at the edges and the centers of the flowers and the colors. This is an orchid with pinks and magentas. This is a poppy. I grow these at my house. Here's a different type of poppy, light pink colors. So let's look at the shapes of what we're making. There's some poppies, there's some asters, there's a black-eyed Susan. Let me show you how to do these parts. You will need this flower pot. And first what I did is drew it. Make sure I'm in the camera. So right about here, you want the pot to be wider than it is tall. So you draw an oval shape, draw two lines straight down, and then echo that lip of that top of the pot. And then you want a rounded line here at the bottom of the pot. And then you'll want to cut this out. It's going to be a little bump here. And if you do a good job cutting it out, it'll look more realistic. And of course, if you don't, it won't. But that is part of detail and paying attention and doing your best work. So just try your best on this. And then what I did was cut into this, but not all the way across. You could always glue it back together if you did. But then there's my flower pot. And to cut stems, all you need are little strips, and they don't all need to be straight, but they need to be kind of thin, because you don't want a big, thick, clunky stem for a flower that doesn't make any sense. They're pretty dainty, they're thin, so something like this, or this works fine. And I had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you can cut a leaf shape and also color that in on the spine of the leaf and attach that in a certain way. Let me show you how to cut these daisy or black-eyed Susan. I fold my piece in half, and I fold it again, and I even fold it again, and here's why. And this may be easier to do with big scissors and big hands, but you don't have to fold it as many times as I did. I cut out, around, back to, and it's like a spoon shape, and then back to, but not cutting it apart from each other. I want it connected because, let me show you. I've got 2 petals, 4 petals, 6 petals, 8 petals. That's close to that black-eyed Susan we saw the picture of. And then I need a circle, and you know how to cut a circle. You just keep spinning your paper. And these, the centers of your flowers will be different sizes and different colors. And then there's that black-eyed Susan again. So that's how we did that. I added these propeller shapes together, and I did this twice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. If I can pick it up, there we go. And then I put this button right over the top of that, and then that goes on a stem. And that'll look great. Also, I have these flowers, which look like plumbagos to me, but it's like a star shape. It's more pointed on the tip of the petal than the rudbeckias, the black-eyed Susans that we just did. And I think there were 5 or 6 points, and I've seen them with 6 or 5. So it's not so specific. It doesn't have to be a certain way. Nature is amazing. It has so much diversity and changes to it, or differences is what I'm trying to say. And then there's kind of an orchid or an aster shape, and I like to see the differences in these colors. That faint blue with this dark blue looks really great. And if I wanted a little tiny circle or a button for that light blue or that cornflower blue color, I might want to cut some of this dark vivid blue out and set that right there. And that looks kind of cool together, I think. And then the daisy is just like this. So let's do this again. Or you could cut tiny little bellflowers like that. And I colored into those. I'll show you that in just a moment again. But to do these petals, I just went out and back, just like I did for this one. Out, around, like a spoon, and then back. And there we go. Laying this over the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this center needs to be yellow because this is a Shasta daisy. And look, I have this scrap paper here. This works fine. If you need to tear it so it's easier to manage for you to cut, I would do that. Make your life a little bit easier. Getting all this scrap out of my way would make my life easier. I have to clean as I go. So a little yellow center for this, and it looks like a daisy. Beep. Have you seen those? They're pretty neato flowers. Now, these tiny little red flowers, I'm going to call impatiens. You could call them pansies. There are different names. Hundreds and hundreds of different types of flowers, guys. It's amazing how diverse nature is, how many differences there are in color, sizes, shapes, smells, where they can live, where they can't live, all that stuff. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of these red flowers, and I could bunch them all up. And they look okay, especially if I draw a dot in the center. So we're composing this. We've got all our parts cut. Let's put it together. If I've got a background, I've got my flower pot. I set it here. I grab a stem. I put it boop, right in there, but not all the way through. Are you seeing that? No, maybe out to the side a bit. Here's a bent stem. Put that way. Put this stem here. And it is tricky. Be patient with yourself. My hands aren't working the way I'd like today, but doing my best. My nose is running away from me. Allergies as spring is coming with all these flowers. Now to put these petals on, crisscross them. Juxtapose them, right? Turn them so that they have different, they point different directions and they're not all over the same of each other. And then put that dot right in the middle. This was one of the blue flowers, and I might want that to overlap and underlay and have all these differences. And there's 4 kinds of flowers. If I want, I can just pack this thing full of flowers. Let's go. Looking for this blue one that I drew on. That's gonna look great. And I would like you to have fun and play with this and make your mom some really nice flowers. Mother's Day is coming up. Don't forget. Give your mom something to show the appreciation that you have for her. Moms do a lot in our lives, so be sure to show your gratitude and thankfulness. Oh, here's the leaf that I had, and that goes great right there. And I like to put these different colors together to see these differences over each other, over, under, make it look full and lively and great. Maybe this one has this one and it's underneath of that, and maybe I have another yellow here, and that looks great. And so hopefully you have fun making flowers for mom and putting this together. And so you see I've made quite a mess, and I've got lots of different kinds of flowers here that I've cut just as examples, and I have scraps that I can throw away. You can pack this thing full of flowers and it can be over the top with color. Hopefully you learned how to draw several of the different shapes of flowers. If you drew them and folded them like this, and then you cut them neatly, the paper is folded and see what's going to happen. How many flowers am I going to have if it's folded once? I'm just taking time to make sure that you guys know this trick of folding, because I'll show it to you probably 10 times every year. It's an important step to know. And if you want to put these over the top of each other, they look even better, or separate. Play with these shapes and designs. These are organic shapes. We're using all different types of colors that we have. I used papers, construction papers, and I cut and pasted all this together. You could also draw the shapes individually and cut them out and paste them together. Don't give up before you start. Take 15 to 20 minutes or even longer on this. I know that when I'm making a gift for somebody, I take my time. And hopefully you do too, to make your best work possible. So I'm cutting my iris shapes now, or these orchid almost. So I've cut out and then in to a point. And it gets wider here at the center and then comes back where it comes together. This could have 5 petals or 4. 3 would be not enough, but it's kind of neat to just arrange these and play with them a bit. So that's a different type of flower. Let's see, I want to make those petal shapes. Grabbing a yellow piece of paper. And I could have white flowers too. That looks good on here. Let's cut the daisy. Let me show you how to do that. This is one of my favorites because you have to put these parts together and then it looks great. So like this flower, it goes out and then in, but the end is rounded, and then out and then in, but don't cut it apart. Watch this. When I open it, I have 1, 2 petals. That makes a propeller, 3, 4, and then I've got half of my flower. So let's do that one more time. Cutting out, and this is the folded side, and this is the open side, and then in, and then out, and then back in toward, and I'm leaving that together. And then there's 4, 5, 6, no, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go, counting. And then put those over and balance it out. And then you need a brown center. I had this piece of scrap, so I can cut a circle, small circle. And you want a different color than yellow. You want brown, because this is called a black-eyed Susan, and that's what it looks like. And so that goes there. What's another flower I could use? I could use pink or white. And then I had this red one for earlier. We do need something red. That would look great. Even something small, if you had tiny scrap paper, right? You could use that. And that could look really good. And then you do want probably some kind of center or blue part or even a white part. Not many white centers to flowers. And I'm just cutting these different types. If you go online and look at different types of flowers, you would be surprised of all the differences you'll see. There's these little pan-headed flowers that this is 4 parts, 4 petals, and then the end is kind of flat, like it looks like a tooth almost. Did you see that? Like a back tooth, and then this, and then ripple this part, and then you've got 4, 1, 2, 3. How many did I cut? Oh boy, that's gonna look fun. And so if it's kind of close or attached to a stem, it's going to look like it's supposed to be there. You could use crayons to fill some of these parts in, like if you just color a little bit there and put some lines out to it, it's going to look great. But try not to color over anything else, and go dark with it, and it'll look great. And that looks pretty neat. You could also cut that color, because you'll have some scrap if you're using construction paper. But if you're doing a drawing, you'll want to take extra time to make things look sort of realistic. And I hope that you can give this to Mom for Mother's Day or just for being cool. Whatever you decide is great. I'm putting this in because it looks great, different than that. And then also, I'm going to need a different color center for here. I could use a brown, and that'll work fine. And that gives me some differences of color. But I'd like you to show me that you can make, oh, 3 or 4 different kinds of flowers today like I've shown you. Remember, these are cloudy shaped flowers. These are asters or lilies. These are black-eyed Susans or daisies. Daisies are white with a yellow center. These black-eyed Susans are called Rudbeckia, the family name, and they are a brown center with a yellow petal, and they have 8 different petals. And so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different kinds here. Don't forget the stems. Try to finish your work and send it to me on Google Classroom. You could glue this down, you could draw it, you could do it any way you wanted. If you painted, you could paint your flowers separately if you drew them, because some of you I know are good painters. You could do it this way, paint it in, and then let it dry, and then cut it out, and it'll look fabulous, I promise. If you did that, that would look even better. So I would glue this to a background so you have something really nice to give Mom for Mother's Day. So we've made 5 different types of flowers. Show me 3 or 4 and glue them down and paste them and send it to me so I can grade your work. I hope you had fun making spring flowers for Mom. Send me your work. Thank you.